YouTube, it's Brian Phillips. Look at this. We've got the Stick 14 by Dancing Wings. Looks absolutely fantastic. We've set this thing up with all sorts of crazy configuration for the wings. We've got crow. Of course, crow keeps the ailerons working. Then we also set up a takeoff flap and landing flap without crow. And then we set up a full length landing flap. So we're excited to see how this thing works. And we do have telemetry for pack voltage. You're running 2200 4S here, 30C Gen 2 smart pack. All right, so takeoff flaps. We'll go into the standard configuration for takeoff, and real excited to see how this thing performs. We got a little bit of light wind from left to right. Seems to be pretty laminar, not so confused, which is good. Oh yeah, she's off. Now we do have AS3X and safe, as well as off in this model, but we do not have a setting for gain, or no knob for gain. Noisy prop. Doesn't cornhole very well, as you can see. Something about the length. We had the same problem with the Ultra Stick from Horizon. Okay, full landing flaps. Just to show you, it can slow down nicely, but I prefer in crow. That's so cool. You can see the immediate change in attitude of the airplane when I went to crow. Now this, of course, would sound a lot better if it wasn't quite so noisy. For 4S 2200 and the 1.4 meter plane, it feels pretty light on its feet. Okay, full crow. Still very good roll authority, but then look at that, guys. That is so cool. Look at this. Now they call this a trainer, and I'm not sure I'd call it a trainer, because I would say, if anything, it's for an intermediate to experienced pilot at best. So I don't know where a trainer comes into that, unless you're training for 3D, which would make sense, I suppose. Okay, now let's see the full length flaperons here. Oh yeah, pitch down moment there as I turn them on. But it's definitely controllable. We haven't lost our roll authority, which is one of the things we fight with full length flaperon in my experience. Speed is good. That's about 50% with the wind. Now let's go against the wind. There's 50%. Take off flaps just to keep from hitting the ground there. No elevator correction mixed in on this plane right now. %, with the wind. 100% against the wind. Definitely has what I would call near unlimited vertical, but I wouldn't necessarily go after unlimited vertical on a plane like this. 25-30% throttle there with the wind. 25-30% throttle here. Just flies. It does what you expect it to do, which is nice when you're flying in a 3D platform. Let's go about 4 steps forward, please. It does the upside down stuff really nicely too. That's about 30% throttle. About 15% throttle there. About 10, 0, 10%, about 5% throttle. As you can see, it does it. It's got a super efficient, uniform wing. So when you come out of it, you just need a little bit of juice to get flipped over if you're gonna flip over on your back. And then we actually have grass cuts. So let's try some grass hops here. Okay, so we have the Takeoff Crow and landing crow here. And as you can see, you can just lay this thing down like in no time. Pretty bad landing on my part. But let's go ahead and show them the grass hops here. Should be no problem on this plane. Takeoff flaps only, and out of the grass, no problem. Now that grass is cut pretty good right now. I think it's about 3.75 inches, and I did smooth that area a little bit, so it's been helping. Okay, full landing flaps. I almost feel like I need just a little bit of down elevator correction, even in crow. Let's show you guys a better landing. Look at that. Just about hairs down. Look at this. You can really plop it down. I love the way that crow makes planes fly. Couple mistakes I made on this build. We actually took out part of our radio setup because it was getting so long. I made a mistake in making my gains adjustable, and there was nothing attached to it, so I couldn't get the AS3X to turn on. Oh, by the way, we should probably show you safe. So I'll get into a strange attitude here, and then safe. Hands off. Safe's working. Okay, so limited bank angle. Wow, it really lets you bank a lot, like almost past 0. Okay, so let's try this. Limited bank angle. Look at that, guys. It'll let you go past. Shouldn't. Okay, that's full up. We'll get into a better attitude here and try full down going into the wind. Okay, so with crow and safe, still works. Full down, the crow definitely dampens the control response. So I would suggest if you're gonna do a lot of crow, you may not wanna be in safe. It definitely works, it's just not ideal. And the safe definitely gives you plenty of flying control. Now you guys may have heard my timer elapse. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go into crow, and I'm gonna scroll over. Oh yeah, we also have a barometer in this one, so I can tell my altitude and everything, which is kind of cool. I'm just gonna go hang out up here for a minute. Is that okay?
Sure.
Okay, so just... Okay, here's our voltage, 14.5. So just so you guys know, I wasn't really paying attention while I was doing that, and I was not in safe, I was just in AS3X. So just to give you an idea of how stable this plane can fly, it really does good. Now let's try a flat turn for you once I get out of this. A lot of turbulence up there now. All of a sudden we've got some wind. Look at the lift. Out of the throttle altogether. Full landing crow. Probably fly backward right now a little bit. Look at that, guys. Just right there. And I don't fancy myself some sort of a 3D pilot here, so, but it just doesn't bite like you think it would. You know, normally when you have a plane that stalls over on its side like that, you're gonna lose control and you're gonna have to get the thing flying again. This thing just doesn't need much airspeed to do it. I would really like to get that prop balanced. I think it'd sound a lot better. Does feel a little bit on the pitchy side. That could be resolved with a little bit more expo on the elevator. And just so you guys know, it is definitely a little bit windy. Let's show them the windsock. Let's show them the windsock and the airplane. As you can see, there's definitely wind going. Okay, going on the inside. There was a bug that just tried to land on my sunglasses. Not appreciated, Mother Nature. I want to see if I can get this thing to land right here. In the turbulence, no less. Oh, that was a little rough. So, guys, what can I say? 14.8 volts, we're still not out of power, but I do want to try one thing. I don't know if you guys are going to be able to see this very good. gonna scroll back over, click, go down to the flap system. I'm gonna turn on just a little bit of down elevator correction, probably like, let's do 5 and 8 and see how that feels. Because I just feel like there's a little bit more that could be given there. And then let's turn up the expo on the elevator just a little bit. Whoops, dual rates and expo. Elevator in the middle setting, I'm gonna turn that up to like 20. I'm gonna put my top setting up to like 30, and then my bottom setting, I'm gonna set that to 10. Okay, so we're gonna start back off in the middle. So the reason we do that is because I always have like a doubling effect or a halving effect. So whatever I set my middle to, I always set the first step a little bit less and the second step a little bit more. So then I start out in the neutral setting or the middle setting, and that gives me a place to go to and a place to come from. Okay, so far I would say that the elevator correction may actually be a little bit backward here, but we're gonna bring it downwind, full speed. Okay, so full landing flaps here with crow. Feel like I would need more if I wanted to fly level. Okay, so if I wanted to fly level, I'm gonna need to go more. So let's just see how bad that is when I do it. What I'd really like to do is I would like to be able to, within flap system, have the elevator correction tied to a switch condition, like C. But we'll do 8 and 12 and see what that is. Now you'll note that when I do my elevator corrections, it's usually like 60% and then 40. So what I do is I actually go from like a little bit more than halfway and then I go the full way. Because the takeoff flaps start to institute that nose down behavior, and then the landing flaps exaggerate it, but not to the same degree. It's not like from 0 to nothing. We're gonna pause, I'm gonna clean my glasses. All right, so we got the glasses clean, here we go. No problem getting out of the grass. Stalls out nicely. Takeoff flaps with crow and landing flaps with crow. Feels a little bit better. Just a little bit of that offset. I don't like having to move my thumbs that much to correct for that attitude change. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna come back around. Okay, so now this is just flaps. Feels pretty good now. That's takeoff, and excuse me, that's landing, that's takeoff. Feels real good. Okay, out of the flaps altogether. Kind of having to combat some wind that's giving me difficulty. Yeah, I'm losing power. Okay, back a few steps, please. Okay, so we're gonna dead stick it in here. Almost dead stick. And we'll just go full crow just because I want to get it down. So there it is, guys. This plane is a really cool plane. If you're looking for something from Dancing Wings, this is probably the easiest build we've had. Still took a long time to put together compared to competitive brands. So we'll pause here for a sec. So basically my thoughts on this Dancing Wings Stick 14 is that it's a good solid build. It's a solidly put together aircraft. We lost this covering in the build because it was a little bit wiggly and crappy looking and loose, and so I tried to heat it up over the stove, didn't work. Probably should have used an iron, and I knew that better. Now the other thing is prop probably needs to be balanced, and we did space our prop out to get that down and right configuration that you would normally get. They didn't have that in the instructions at all. The instructions on the Dancing Wings are like a good try, but they're a little bit lacking. So just understand if you get a Dancing Wings plane, you're gonna need to know what you're doing in terms of the assembly. But then also the battery, not really a great place to put it, but a lot easier to load than in the previous Storch that we had built for Dancing Wings. So I would say overall, good plane. It's gonna take a little bit of playing with to kind of get used to. This reminds me a lot of the AMP Challenger. but better. A little bit better in that it's a bigger and a little bit lower speed flying. I really enjoyed flying the Omp Challenger 2. Similar construction, easier to build on the Omp. But I think this one has a really good power to weight ratio, very high quality servos. All the hardware was good on this one. I don't think we were short on anything. I didn't like having to put these pants on the way we did, but at the same time, they turned out nicely and they haven't interfered with flight performance at all. But you could just as well leave the pants off and just go with the wheels. That'd be fine, I'm sure. So anyway, at the end of the day, is the stick 1.4, the stick 14, is it good? Yes, it's good. Is it a trainer? Absolutely not. Not unless you're training 3D, and then it might kind of make sense to call it a trainer. In terms of, you know, every other aspect of Dancing Wings has been really good. I felt like this one went together probably the best, and it was still a long build. So just something to keep in mind when you're making your decisions. And then the other thing too is when we did this build, we did it with an 8-channel receiver. So we used the AR8263. So we have AS3X safe and the full range telemetry. So some of that information we're not necessarily using, but it is really nice. If you're gonna do this plane and you really wanna get sophisticated, you could add the Avian ESC and then you'd get not only thrust reverse, but you could use the AR, you know, like the 631 would probably be more appropriate. And honestly, one mistake I made is the full length ailerons. As much as I like the idea that it rolls quickly, I feel like you could mix in a little bit of rudder and get the same effect and it would be way easier. So maybe just Y these here and then you pick up the extra channel for gain, or go down to the 631 and you could do the same thing, save a little bit of money on the receiver. So the 631 or the 637T if you don't want to do the Avian ESC, because then you'll still get your pack voltage. So a couple of different thoughts there. We'll link to what we used in this, and then we'll also link as like an alternative, the 631. Avian ESC would probably be a little bit overkill because you can see how slow you can go with this thing. But boy, I'm sure a skilled pilot with 3D and reverse thrust and everything, you do some insane stuff. So really excited to bring you this plane. If you guys want to help support our channel, check the links in the video description below. And then also, please double check, take some time, jump onto brianphillipsrc.com, and you can help support our channel by navigating through there. We're gonna have some different opportunities coming up on that, so we're excited to bring you that. But for now, buy the stuff from the links. Small commissions come to us from the manufacturers that we work with, and that's ultimately how we fund our channel. Of course, there's a little bit of ad revenue from YouTube, and but that's, you know, you never know what YouTube's gonna do next to screw you over, so we try not to put a lot of faith in their abilities to provide for us. And also the Patreons. Thank you to the Patreons. We've got some new Patreons that have just come in, so thanks for coming aboard. And if you want to become a Patreon too, the link in the video description below is right up at the top, and then we have PayPal too for people that don't want to commit to monthly support and maybe just want to throw us a couple of bucks here and there. Rather than maybe buying a plane, you can do it that way. Or if you're overseas and it's maybe a little bit too challenging to get the, you know, to purchase from the links because you're in the wrong distribution channel or you can't get it shipped or whatever the deal is, reach out to us. We'll see what we can do and see if there's anything we can help you out with on that. But for now, thanks for watching. Click the bell, get the notifications, guys. There's so much more coming from Brian Phillips RC, and definitely check out the Stick 14. Might be worth your cash, and then the NX8's been great. Thanks for watching, guys. YouTube, it's Brian Phillips. Look at this thing. We've got the Dancing Wings Stick 14, which means 1.4 meter trainer airplane. I don't really necessarily understand the trainer part. We have this thing set up with full length flaps, takeoff crow, landing crow, regular takeoff and landing flaps, and full length flaperons, which is really cool. Obviously we have AS3X and safe on this thing. Currently we're gonna be flying in AS3X, but we do not have adjustable gain because we did such a complex wing on the NX8. We're out of channels. So that being said, the 8360T also gives us telemetry for the voltage. So let's go ahead and do a little back taxi and then take off into the wind. As you can see from the windsock, it's not exactly calm right now. But the thing is, what we're gonna do is we're gonna see how this plane does. Full up elevator, a little bit of roll. I think this thing's gonna get off the ground quick. We're gonna go into takeoff flaps only. Here we go. Oh, yes. So far, so good. Everything feels really nice. Had to throw the sunglasses on. Need to get a little trim going on there. There we go. A little bit more. Goodness gracious, tons. 2200 4S right now. Ooh, good roll rate. Good thing we did the full length ailerons. As you can see, the ailerons are definitely rolling it. It's definitely crazy out. Yep, she'll cornhole nicely. Boy, this thing just flies weirdly easy. For being as windy as it is, I thought we'd be fighting it like crazy, but we're really not. Not a speed demon by any means. Okay, let's see how Crow looks. Going down the runway, mostly into the wind. There's a little bit of Crow. Oh yes, look, it looks fake. That's so weird. Okay, cool. That's our first click of Crow, out of the Crow into the heavy wind. And then full Crow. That is awesome. Love the slowdown. Love that the AS3X is keeping up. Okay, into the takeoff Crow. Really having no problems. That it is very windy out here. Sounds like we could probably balance the prop to make it fly a little better. We'll try to get you guys a calm flight as well. Okay, takeoff flaps. Let's try the full length flaperons here. And that's where we are right now, and it's doing just fantastic. Just fantastic out of the full length flaperons. That was a takeoff setting. Okay, full landing flap setting. Oh yeah, really nice actually. Surprisingly looks sweet. Love the way that wing looks with that little droop on the ailerons and the inboard flaps. Okay, here we go, using only a little teeny tiny bit of rudder every once in a while. It's been very easy to fly. We're in our middle expo setting. Okay, we're gonna flip back to the standard takeoff flaps and we'll see how it flies. Okay, very solid. No problems there. We'll go around for another circuit. Then we're gonna try landing flaps into the wind, very heavy wind, obviously. And here we go. Okay, full landing flaps. And no elevator corrections, you kinda gotta do it by hand. Okay, so it definitely slows down, puts it into a tricycle landing. Okay, up and over. So we've got all the wing types tested. I like the Crow the best. My recommendation after having tested all that, set up Crow, do a Y-splitter on your flaps, and you'll be golden. This thing is crazy capable. Not quite the speed demon that you would expect it might be given the amount of power that comes out of that motor. When it's sitting on the counter, oh my goodness. But look at this. Look how nice that is. Look how nice that slows down, folks. Very nice with the Crow out of the landing Crow setting into the takeoff. Don't let it get pushed over on you. Catching the wind, riding the wind on that turn. Okay, so I want to see if we can do something a little bit more crazy. Obviously the wind has got us hemmed into the direction we can do our stuff. There's a cornhole, not quite enough rudder authority. The same thing happened on the Ultra stick that we reviewed here a few years back. Just something about the length of it. Look at that rudder. You would think that rudder would be just like the most overwhelming thing ever. Look at that. Upside down, no problem. Okay, check this out. Safe, there's safe. Oh yeah, safe is good, look at this. Just 20% throttle here, not even looking, in the heavy wind. Okay, we're gonna just do a nice little circuit here, show you what it might look like. And of course, safe does not defeat our flaps, so I can go ahead and still do Crow. So here's takeoff Crow, landing Crow. Of course, it gets a little bit weird because you'll notice it just went way up. I'm having to hold down, look at that. Holding down the elevator quite a little bit. Safe is doing a pretty good job. Okay, out of the Crow there. Obviously safe is still on. We're gonna go to AS3X again. You'll note that I did that and then yanked right up. That's because I don't want it to go down. Reasonably good roll rate, surprisingly anemic, given that it's a full-length aileron. Okay, full landing crow. Obviously, the roll rate drops just a little bit, but look at that attitude. That is so cool. Look at this, guys. Look at this. Don't need thrust reverse on that thing. Okay, into the takeoff crow, and up we go. Out of the flaps altogether. And there it is. Haven't even paid attention to my timer. I know it's expired. That's okay. I can feel we've got lots of juice. 2200 for us is the way to go. I feel like this thing has ample weight. Are you good? Mm-hmm. Look at that beauty. Okay, let's take a couple steps back, do a couple inside passes. About 10% input for that roll. Okay, back another couple steps. There you go, good job. Takeoff flaps coming in here. Okay, just going to the standard flaps here out of the crow. Okay, full landing flaps. Just show you how this works. If you were gonna set up your plane, real good performance still. I would almost say that's definitely worth considering. I went into crow there at the top of that arch. Amazing, very cool. The thing just flies effortlessly and it is windy. Let's see how we do in the bowl here. Let's give them a little bowl flight here. It is very turbulent. Okay, take off crow just to command and control this thing. You good right there, right there. Got to keep the airspeed up just a little bit because look at how crazy janky the wind is. And then look at this, let's see how well it behaves. In ground effect almost. And look at that, under the power lines, here we go. Okay, out of the takeoff flaps, there we go, no problems at all. Full throttle. Careful. Whew. Man. Don't even feel like I need to mess with any settings. So folks, if you're into this sort of aircraft, I would say this is definitely a keeper. Okay, we might be getting close to dead stick, so let's go ahead and try for a landing. I need you to scooch forward, please, to the center. There you go, right there. Perfect. Okay, full crow. And there's a cat on the runway. Did you hear that pathetic thing? Okay, full landing flaps, also known as crow. Forcing the nose down, a little bit of throttle, a little bit of throttle, a little bit of throttle, and there it is. Stopped. Stopped. Okay, show the people. This is Colby. Hi, Colby. Thank you for coming out of the hay pile at the worst possible time. That was perfect.
She's been out there for like a week.
Ow! So, what are our thoughts so far? First of all, we're at 13.4 volts. Okay, 14.7 evidently. I felt like we were just kind of losing some power there at the end, and so I wanted to kind of play it safe. Really like the way this thing is set up. It's definitely going to be a performance plane. I have no idea who thought this would be a good trainer. I think it'd be a terrible trainer. I think it would be a definite awesome plane to have. You might like this plane. It's probably the easiest Dancing Wings plane we've built, and yet it's still huge amounts of effort to get this thing put together properly. And to be honest with you, I feel like this plane turned out not only the best, but it looks the best, other than the PT-17. The PT-17 is by far the best plane that we have probably in our fleet. It's just a beautiful, beautiful plane. It's definitely got its issues, but I would say this one here is just a real keeper. If you guys like this stick style plane, I don't think this plane's gonna disappoint you at all. I wanna go ahead and take off again. Okay, got a little bit of crow. Little grass clippings there. Okay, out of the crow. And I like where you are. If you can just keep there, that's good.
Okay.
Okay, here we go. One thing I do like about the Ultra Stick compared to this is the reverse thrust, but you're talking about a lot more money, like hundreds more. Okay, so we're losing power here. I'm gonna go ahead and land it, hopefully. Take off flaps, crow, landing crow, and then look at this, guys. Right down she goes. Wheel pants gave us a little bit of trouble when we were building this plane. Radio setup gave us a little bit of trouble when we were building this plane, so we actually refilmed that section. So our apologies if there's any confusion there. We'll do our best to answer your questions in the course of the video. But stay tuned, we're gonna do the unbox, build, and radio setup next. I think we're gonna probably try for a calm flight as well, because I feel like when we got this much wind, it kind of undermines the plane's capabilities. So we wanna definitely try to get you a flight where you're gonna have a little bit better side-by-side comparison, maybe something else. But I'll tell you what, this thing did well, given how windy it is. I was super impressed. It's not as light on its feet as I thought it was gonna be when we built it. Usually balsa wood planes have to keep a little bit more speed to fly. This thing flies slow. I like that a lot. It is on the very light side, in my opinion. We brought out a 2250C, and we're flying it on a 2230C, having no problems. 3230C for us as well. We were gonna try if it didn't CG out right. I feel like we're probably just a touch on the tail heavy side, just barely, I mean barely. It's 90 is the mark, and I feel like it just sits, you lift it off the counter and it stays in that attitude. I feel like I'd like it to lean forward a little bit, so maybe that 3200 will give you just that little bit of edge you want. Also, no Velcro straps included with the plane, which I thought was weird, so we ended up using foam to hold it in. So we'll show you some of the issues we ran into on this plane. The build was good. It's the first time we actually had extra hardware on this one, with the exception of the hardware we used to do our down and right correction. We ended up using some of the spacers from the props, and we used washers from an all-tail fasteners kit, so it's nothing, you know, too terribly uncommon within the RC realm. I'm sure you guys probably have some of that stuff lying around. If you're building a plane like this, it's not gonna be your first plane. Also, let's just answer that question right now. Is this a good trainer? No, it would be a terrible trainer. You're gonna crash it. That being said, it doesn't fly bad. It's just that I would never configure a beginner plane like this, ever. I might do the same thing I did on this plane, except I would do an AR 630 or 631. And then I would set it up with basic flaps and basic ailerons, and you would have a very good flight experience. It's light enough on its feet that you could get away with it. But there again, I wouldn't want to have a performance plane as a trainer. It just doesn't make sense to me. So I don't know if it's maybe lost in translation from the Chinese or what, but good plane, definitely not a good trainer. So that being said, it's got its time or place. I really like the plane. It goes together. It takes about an afternoon or, you know, evening. I would say like a full afternoon into the evening.
Yeah.
You can build this thing. If you're not filming, it'd go a little quicker. We ended up having it done in, you know, like 10 hours or so of work. So good plane, good job, Dancing Wings. Hopefully you guys will check it out in the link below in the video description. If you're gonna buy one, buy it from the links. You'll help support our channel. Small commissions come to us, and you don't pay any extra for that. Also, there's PayPal and Patreon, just if you decide you can't buy this plane, maybe you hate this plane, you want something different. We have links to tons of other planes, and we're gonna help you guys decide where to spend your RC budget. This cat is freaking out. It's hilarious.
She's probably hungry.
Yeah, she wants to come in and visit her sister who hates her. It's gonna be funny. It's always a cat fight, literally. So that being said, guys, stay tuned. Hopefully we've got another clip of this, and if not, we've got the unbox build and radio setup, amended radio setup, so it's a little bit simpler and more to the point. Thanks for watching.